What's up, you guys? This is the Brown Couch Talks. Welcome back to those who are listening in again, tuning in again, and for those who's brand new, welcome. We are now on our third episode, so you guys feel free to listen back to our past two episodes, the past 2 weeks. And before anything else, I really want to thank everyone who has been tuning in, listening in, watching in our podcast videos in YouTube and Spotify. You know what? To be completely honest, I actually thought that this podcast idea would just be, an idea itself. I never thought I'd actually go through with it just because, I have been too comfortable with my life here. I have been too quiet, being at peace, being content, being lazy after work, doing some solitude stuff. But you know what? There's always that part in me who wants to be the main character, So it's kind of a funny thing, but the thing is, I have always been in the limelight when I was back home. Since I was in high school, I've always joined all these extracurriculars. I joined this singing contests, dance contests, cheerleading contests, even pageants. I even became the head of the student government when I was in high school. It was a fun experience, to be completely honest, but it's my main character syndrome. Basically, that's pushing me to it. But yeah, that goes through all the way when I actually started a career in politics. When I became a public servant for 3 years, I got elected as, a municipal councillor in my hometown, and it has been a career for 3 years before going here to Canada. So I have been there for a long, long time. And, being in that spot, being in that spot for a long, long time has actually taken a toll on me, that when I finally got the chance to live a peaceful life, content, solitude stuff, living, I just grabbed onto it, held onto it, and, just made it my habit, my way of life. But at this point, I just really want to share basically everything that I have experienced here in Canada, because I can see how much self-growth I personally have had. And it is something that I know a lot of people my age are going through. The search for oneself, the search for happiness, the search for peace. It's not like I'm very much at peace. There's still a lot of chaos around me, But basically, I just want to share this to you guys, which is why, Brown Couch Talks is born. Well, as part of my promotion for the Brown Couch Talks, I did post a Q&A story on my Instagram, completely anonymous, by the way. So yeah, I do have my first question here. Any easy tips on how to start my journey going there? I want na. Well, looking back with how I started here in Canada, I actually applied through an agency in Manila. And, to be honest with you guys, it does cost a lot of money. There is one more way which you can go for, which is what we call DIY application, or do it yourself, or do it your own application. A lot of people were able to get in doing that kind of application, Um, and most of those people who came here started out as students. So mainly all of the people I knew who came here DIY started as students. So there are students who started with a co-op, and there's me. I went through grad school. I graduated Master's in Business Administration here in Canada. And the next step after that would be postgraduate work permit, which I am in right now. And there's about good 3 years for that to be under work permit while you work on your permanent residency, if that is something that you're looking for, or if that's one of your goals, if you are to stay here in Canada. Well, not everyone actually goes through with that. Some just stays as work permits because they want to travel to another country at some point and, do the same thing, have the same life, go through the same stuff in another country. But one of the most important thing that you have to keep in your mind if you're going to apply here in Canada is that you have got to have that strong guts. You're literally going to start from scratch if you come here. It's not instant happiness when you come here. You're going to learn another way of life. And not everyone likes change, as we've said in the past episodes. So you have got to keep that in mind, that that change is going to keep happening when you're here in Canada, and there's no way to avoid it. So you're going to have to embrace the fact that it's going to happen, change is going to happen over and over and over again. That is my number one tip, actually, if you are ever planning to move to Canada. It doesn't matter if you're doing it solo. It doesn't matter if you're going to be with family or relatives. Trust me, it's literally a start from scratch. And you really have to have that guts to survive that kind of life here, Proceeding with our other questions, I did get two funny and cute questions. Really, I don't know where this came from, but the first question is that, is it true that it's always cold in Canada? To be completely honest, that is not true. Right now, or actually the past week, we have gone through a heat wave, and it's freaking hot, to be honest. Like, it's not as bad as Philippines, where it goes as high as 41. It's only 30 degrees here, but it really does the trick. I don't know what to say. It's just really, really different. The heat here is different compared to the heat back home. But that is actually in Vancouver. I am not sure as to how it is with the other provinces. Sometimes other provinces go through with 8 months of winter or snow season. Some does get about, I don't know, 9, 10 months. That's what I think. But here in Vancouver, the seasons are equally divided. There's about 3 months of winter, 3 months of spring, 3 months of summer, and 3 months of fall season. But there's just one thing I can say, or I can guarantee you: Vancouver has and will always be the rainy city. That is the reason why Vancouver is termed, or is also called, as Raincouver. Here's one more question It's really cute, really funny. Is it true that people are always nice in Canada? I think this question stems from that stereotype that people in Canada are overly nice and overly polite, and that they are considered the friendly neighbors from the Great North. Someone random will literally smile at you, greet you good morning, and say, "Have a nice day." Even in phone calls, it's something that you always say. Like, people always ask, "How are you?" It's common courtesy here in Canada that you ask whoever you're talking to, "How are you? How's it going? How have you been?" And then end the conversation with, "Well, I hope you have a nice day. I hope you enjoy the weekend. I hope you enjoy the sun. I hope you enjoy the rain." It's a common courtesy here in Canada to be that nice. This reminds me so much of what my friend has told me. She was telling me the story of how she felt all too Canadian already when she went back home in the Philippines. So she hasn't been back home for quite some time now. And when she went back home, she went to this drive-through place, and she was like, "Hello po, kumusta po?" So that's translated as to, "Hi, how are you?" Which is very uncommon back home. No one says that. No one says or asks a random person a random question of, "How are you?" So yeah, she was all like, "I feel like I am Canadian now because I am too courteous or too nice or too silly to even ask, 'How are you?'" Which actually, you know what? It does make your day when someone says that. Basically, the idea is that the people surrounding you can affect your mood all throughout the day. And having those kinds of people who are always happy, upbeat, jolly, it's kind of making you feel good too, you know? But I'm not saying that there are no people, I'm not saying that everyone's like that. There is still a bit of a few Karens all around, but the nice way, the Canadian way, is always apparent or is always visible when you're here. So, yes, it is true. People are always nice. I was also asked this question: what are the cons of living in Canada? Generally speaking, living in Canada is not all glamour. People here lives the work hard, play hard attitude. What that means is that people here strive to strike that balance between life and work. And they try to embody that. What I mean by that is people works so much and also balances it out with doing just the same amount or same effort as they did with work into enjoyment. People work hard on the weekdays, looking forward to the fun they'll experience on the weekend. And actually, this is very, very apparent during summer season. Like, it doesn't even matter if it's weekday. People after work, when it's summer, would do all these kinds of things just to, de-stress, relax, enjoy the sun, yada yada. Some would go hiking, some would go to the beach, someone would get a tan. Now that I realized it, it's actually not a con. It's not literally a bad thing, but it's actually a good practice that people are having here in Canada or in Vancouver. Another cons of moving here in Canada is basically you're going to go through all these culture shocks. There are a lot of culture shocks that I have personally experienced when I came or when I moved here to Canada. One of the things is that when you just moved here in Canada and all you have is your money from the Philippines or, money from your own home country, you cannot help but to compute the money. And, if you do that, if you compute money into Philippine peso and you're purchasing stuff here in Canada, it will really drain the heck out of you. It would be hella expensive. That's the real deal. If you try to convert money, Philippine peso to Canadian dollars or Canadian dollars to Philippine peso, it's a huge headache, to be completely honest. And that's one of the things that I have experienced here in Canada. Like, I cannot even afford to buy, say, a $14 meal, not because I don't have the money for it, but because in my head I'm computing that, oh, it's 600 pesos, it's 700 pesos for a meal. And basically, I can find a meal that's only worth what, 75 pesos? But that was way back then. I'm not really sure how pricing are right now in the Philippines. But it's one thing that gets you thinking, right? Another culture shock for me when I moved here in Canada is that everything is basically just achieved by one tap on your phone or by technology. It is so easy to pay here by just tapping your Apple Pay on the phone or tapping your card or even tapping your watch to pay. Back home, I used to have lots of cash in my wallet that I have to bring everywhere and make sure that I hold on to it because I might lose it with all those cash. But here, you actually don't have to worry about cash, to be honest. I've never had cash for a while now because all my money is either in my debit cards or credit cards, and that I don't have even that big a wallet as I've had when I was back home. I literally have a very small one with just my cards that I use every day. Those cards are basically a backup for me because all those cards are uploaded or are actually registered in my Apple Pay as well, in my iPhone, or even in my watch. So, yeah, technology here is crazy. Either I was too stuck being in the province back home and that they've been doing it in Manila for a long time now, or it's really a first world country thing. I don't know. One more culture shock that I've had is actually the food portions. Food portions here are too much. You literally can eat them as two meals. I have been here for 3 years now, and I gotta say, I never actually finished my food if I am dining out. I will always have to take it home or actually push myself to finish it. No matter how hungry I was, no matter how much I crave for a specific food, I never ever finish my meal just out of hunger. Another thing is that healthy living in Canada is actually a big thing. People would run out early morning, lunchtime, afternoon, late evening. For what? Just for the sake of running, like just for lifestyle, just for a healthy lifestyle, basically. And people would even be running under the rain. And in my head, I'm like, are they crazy to be running in the rain? They might get sick, those kinds of things. But it's just something that I wasn't used to when I got here. But guess what? I even run myself now, which I really can't believe I'm still doing, you know? All those pros, those cons that I have observed, I've experienced here in Canada, in Vancouver, basically it has become a way of life, and that I have never been more peaceful than before, basically. Back then, I have always thought that being depressed is already my personality. But when I moved out and I moved here in Canada, that's when I realized that my environment has been toxic. Too toxic that I have become dysfunctional, and that this move that I did has become a fresh start for me to create a new person. You know, I mean, it's always there. The old me is always there. I will always carry that with me. But you know what? I am really loving how myself has become here in Canada and how myself has become in this new environment. I mean, I have been here 3 years now, but it still feels like this, and it just keeps on going forward self growth, which is really great. Now, I just want to say thank you very much to all those who participated in this questions, anonymous questions on our Instagram account. It has been really fun to answer these questions, and I do hope that there's more to come, and I would love to entertain more of these questions in the upcoming episodes. So, thank you very much, you guys, for tuning in and listening in. I do hope that you tune in onto our next episode next Thursday. Anyway, this is Maria of the Brown Couch Talks. Thank you very much, and we'll see you soon. Bye!